rich amount of thought coming into today's session, and then really looking forward to the conversation that we're all going to have together afterwards, after we've kind of listened to our Egyptian colleagues share their perspective from their country. And we were discussing in our call prior to the session just how wonderful it is to have the connection between MENA countries, so countries that are from the north of Africa right through to our sub-Saharan tip of Africa's countries and all the way in between. It's just wonderful to have this experience of being connected to each other across the continent beyond sort of any traditional thinking about what potential divides there are, and then beyond that to also be connected with so many colleagues around the world, across the country. Nice to see you, Eric, here, Chandri from India. I know that Victoria is joining us from the UK, and we've got people from the States, etc. But I think the predominance is our African colleagues on this continent, and since these sessions are for you, please, we hope that there's deep participation and enjoyment today. Fantastic. So, Aziz, hi, Trista.
Yes.
Hi. Shall we kick off? We're about 5 past at the moment.
I think it's time to do it. So let's start.
That.
And there are more people come in, so we're not going to detain people further. So let's just start sharing, and you and Dina can share.
Fantastic.
So,
thank you. And Aziz will man the keyboard. You will man the keyboard and the waiting room. It's always a fun job. So, as we said, welcome everybody to our 3rd Africa Voices dialogue. We've been running these for quite a few months now and just loving the degree of engagement and uptake. And today's dialogue is hosted by Egypt. And the topic is Empowered Beyond School. And what we're really looking at is, how we can go about supporting our learners and all people in the school environment to really look at expanding their experience, having a very supportive, humanized approach to education that really expands their horizons far beyond the school walls and beyond the boundaries of curriculum. Just a quick word in terms of Africa Voices dialogues and sharing with you what we regard our purpose and mantra to be, which is to co-create belonging and activate potential for educators, learners, and communities across the African continent and beyond. And these dialogue series really are less about expertise and more about practitioner experience. We are very, very interested in the voices of real practitioners who are working on the ground on our continent to bring education to the youth of our continent and to uplift who we are as Africa. Our principle is that every voice matters. So while there are many people on the call, we really do want to create spaces for every voice to be heard. And please, we ask that you would bring your voice because it matters. It really matters. Personal experience is key. The whole is more important than the sum of its parts. So we believe that what we can achieve and what we can do together when we link up with each other and we learn from each other is huge. And what we really want to do is seek meaningful learning from each other and learn from each other's experiences so that we can amplify and accelerate the rate of change in education in Africa. This is just a very brief overview before I hand over, well, a very brief refresher on the invitation before I hand over to our 2 coordinators and hosts for today, Dina and Yomna. So in essence, again, Egypt hosting, Dina and Yomna will be they have coordinated the session. They are our hosts for the session. Andrew, myself, and Aziz are kind of our operational team behind the scenes. And then we are going to have inputs from a large number, a wide variety of people. And we have our Kenyan colleagues who are going to be hosting the next session, listening in and creating a thinking space to really reflect back on what's coming through in today's session. Quick reminder from last time, those of you who were here will know that the way we run these sessions is we try and create a conversational space where we have a couple of people really going into depth on the topic, and then the audience as a whole holds the space around them and really listens into that conversation. And then we switch over into breakaway rooms where people are in small groups and can discuss what they've heard and how that applies to themselves. Just quick housekeeping rules, please. Every voice matters. We will create space. And if we don't create space, shout at us, please, because that's what we intend and want to do. We welcome input and questions. We want input and questions. So where it isn't possible to voice a question, please put it into the chat group so that we can keep track. And please engage with each other. If you come across somebody who just sounds really interesting, engage with them, connect with them. We are looking to facilitate connections. If you put the speaker view clicker on, you will obviously see the person speaking at the time, which helps to kind of pick out from the many, many people on the call who is actively speaking. To ask to speak, please raise your hand. Use the icon if you can to raise your hand. Otherwise, just wave at us and we'll pick you up. And in terms of our breakout rooms, please, we're really looking for equality of thought and freedom of expression, and the creation of ample and adequate time for each person to voice their opinions and their thoughts. We suggest about 2 minutes per person. So when you're in breakout rooms, just collectively track that and track that that every person is having an opportunity to speak. And then lastly, we look forward to as much engagement as is possible and hope that you'll bring your full minds and hearts to the session today. Thank you for being with us. So over to Dina and Yomna, who are our hosts today. Thank you so much for everything that you've done to coordinate today, bringing these wonderful speakers to us, and the hard work that you've done over the past couple of weeks just to get this session up and running. Thank you. Dina, over to you. You're muted, Dina.
Okay, sorry. Thank you very much, Robin. Peace be upon you all. I hope you can see all the presentation. Is it visible?
Yes, we can. It's not on maximized view, so we've got your kind of screen view. It's not on slideshow yet.
Okay, so this is the most I can get, I guess, at the moment.
It's perfect. That's fine.
Okay, so welcome everyone to the Africa Dialogue Series. I hope maybe sometime we could host you all in Egypt, and maybe we can hold this conversation further on education and our beautiful continent and all the potential and promises hold therein. Now, the topic of our concern today is empowerment beyond schooling. And I'd like to begin with this image and this quote, African proverb. It takes a village, a whole village, to raise a child. And this is one of my favorite quotes that really capture the essence of the perennial paradigm of education in Africa that lasted for centuries and centuries. Now, traditionally, children were brought up to serve or to be educated by the process of socialization and unstructured learning day to day from a variety of sources, starting with the family, ending with the village. And in this long bygone model, learning was not confined in the choking boundaries of rules and classrooms. It was more of a model in which children were educated for life, for survival in the juggling jungles, for becoming better human beings, and for even transcending spiritually in preparation for the afterlife. And because these pearls of wisdom are often found in the forgotten oceans of the past, and in the spirit of the Africa Dialogue series, I would like to take you on a journey in time to an inspiring past to demonstrate that maybe the nature of the modern education system in which we're so engulfed today is challengeable. So beginning from the beginning, I'd like to share this image with you. And this is the image of the writing scribe in ancient Egypt. Now, the oldest recorded alphabet was maybe developed in Egypt around 2000 BC, and such an early development of writing shed light on the value of knowledge in education, early days early on in the beginning of the dawn of the centuries in Egypt. And this is evidenced by the telling name they gave to school. So I would like you to reflect upon this name, Quran. Anyone has came across this name, would like to share anything on the chat, that would be great. Now, Quran is could be translated in English as the house of life. And the house of life in that context would be, an institution that was often referred to as a repository of knowledge, of wisdom. It was concerned with preserving and creating different forms of different knowledge. And it was kind of comprised of intellectual, moral, artistic, religious, physical, and vocational aspects. So the house of life, in that sense,
yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt you. If we can just maybe make it clearer. If you go down, okay, so let's try to make your presentation clearer. Go down, the right, to the extreme right of your screen, okay? But down, really down, to the extreme right of your screen. So yeah, click there.
Okay. Is it right?
Fine.
Is it beginning?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the House of Life was a school, a sanctuary, and a place of scribal learning, where medicine, astronomy, magic, theology, mathematics, geography, music, morality, and dream interpretation were studied and practiced. As we see over here, entertaining games, activities, and contests and school sports were even included in that kind of educational paradigm. Now, moving on also to another interesting holistic paradigm in Egypt was in the Islamic age, where there were representations of a holistic paradigm held in schools. And over here, there were different ways of holding learning in halaqas or critical circles, where discussion was extremely empowering. And in these schools that were like madrasa schools, like a place where religious, secular knowledge like Quran, Arabic, mathematics, physics, astronomy, literature were also studied, that presented a different holistic paradigm of education as well. And I would present here a summary of major educational themes or the holistic paradigms in both ancient and Islamic medieval Egypt that would represent how we had different paradigms of education that was extremely empowering, because in both ancient Egypt and Islamic Egypt, there were recognition of the social, emotional, intellectual, and religious paradigm, and there were also focusing on different skills. Now, coming to Egypt's areas of strength, early on in December this year, we had an increasing grading in the index of Global Knowledge Index in 2020. And over here, we see an increase in the students enrolled in globally ranked universities. So coming from the past to the present is an extremely challenging notion, because I know we all kind of heard that education in Egypt currently has extremely challenges, but in this last year, we have promises of hope. We have a decline in the percentage of out-of-school children. We have an increase in the percentage of students enrolled in vocational programs. But unfortunately, we still have many challenges as unemployment increased in the labor force. And we see here over here, 21% of territorially educated participants in the labor market are still unemployed. Now, I'd like to end with this quote. The ultimate end of education is for a life, the ultimate end of education here is for a life enriched by the possession of every kind of good, by the enjoyment of every type of satisfaction. And this brings us to a hope, a promise maybe. I was wondering if, even though the challenge of education nowadays in Egypt are extremely problematic, with overpopulation, lack of resources, lack of quality public education, especially considering the high poverty rates. But there are moments of hope. With the advent of knowledge-based economy, we are challenged by having a sustainable future. But one of the fluctuating times of uncertainty that we live in these days make us pose disturbing and annoying questions, such as, are we doing justice to our students? Are we empowering them or disempowering them? With the return of emotional, financial, and time investments in schooling, is it enough for students to earn a livelihood in the full sense of the word? The final and most urgent question of all, is it not time to redesign a more holistic and empowering model of education? I hope that we build schools that are not factories of production, but hubs of creativity that instills a growth mindset and focus, not just focus on growing grades, but work and fulfilling students' aesthetic, spiritual, cognitive, and social emotional capacities. And in our discussion today, I hope we bring forth some suggestions and ideas of how to bring spirituality, happiness, morality, peace, and global citizenship back into the curriculum and to allow students to lead a flourishing life of purpose. And I leave the floor now to my colleague, Yona, who's going to talk about impact and how it's related to the empowerment of schools. Does it open potential hopes for that kind of empowerment?
Thank you so much, Dina. Aziz, if I can just make you aware, apparently there are people trying to get in to the meeting who keep getting locked out. So maybe just have a quick look and see if there's anything from a settings perspective that may be a problem.
Okay.
Fantastic. So now, so over to Yumna.
Yeah, hello. So I'm so excited actually and thrilled to have all of you today. And Dina, of course, your presentation was amazing as usual. And it was very important to know some statistics and to return back to history in order to know that the extracurricular activities and what we actually have been through throughout the years in terms of education in Egypt. Yeah, we had a different type of schooling that is totally different from today. Hopefully we could return back to roots. But let me tackle our theme today from a different perspective. Due to COVID-19 outbreak, as we can see that everything has changed, not only in Egypt, but also all over the world. As a university teacher, let me tell you exactly what I have noticed. I've noticed that my students are having better opportunities nowadays in searching and researching, as most of the assessment now became research-based. So there is a paradigm shift in the educational system and methodological aspects from being teacher-oriented to student-oriented, as we can see here now. Now basically education became autonomous, like self-ridden, and students are now the masters of their own ships. So yeah, now I guess that because of thanks to COVID-19, although most of the people see it as maybe something in its negativity overweighs its positivity, but I see that it is a wonderful opportunity for students to rediscover their own potentials and their own selves. According to what's happening currently in the world, students have the chance or they have more room and more space for their hobbies, and even to find time for extracurricular activities more than before due to the online learning process and online job and training opportunities. So students now are able to work beside their studies and even do activities and practice whatever they want. So according to my own point of view, I think that COVID-19 is now strongly contributing in empowerment beyond schooling. And yeah, this is a great chance for educational system to maybe become prosperous again, especially in Egypt. Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Oops, thank you. So Dina and Yumna, again, just asking you to perhaps introduce the speakers that are going to be joining us and sharing their perspectives from the ground, from Egypt. A little slide to help with those presentations.
Thank you, Robin. Just before presenting our next speaker, I would like to send you all a link for an interactive slide on the chat, where would you kindly write 2 to 3 words on your thoughts about the topic. What do you think empowerment beyond education, traditional education beyond the school includes? And maybe we can display this at the end of the discussion so we can share in your thoughts. So I think I've sent the slide. If you could just type in 2 or 3 words, that would be great. And now we move on to our first speaker. I'm very honored and pleased to present Dr. Dina Amiri, who earned her bachelor's from Georgetown University with a certificate in education and a medal for outstanding achievement in student teaching. She earned her master's degree from Middlebury College and her PhD from the University of Pennsylvania. And in 2012, Dr. Dina founded the Young Scholars of Egypt Micro School. It's an educational program that provides children with an education that prepares them for the 21st century, which is very convenient for our today's concern and topic. And in 2019, Dr. Dina brought that initiative under ACT's umbrella to create a network of interconnected schools. I'd like to welcome Dr. Dina and thank her for her time today, and begin with this first question about her experience overall when it comes to education beyond the school. So, Dr. Dina, what do you think of the topic?
Of the topic itself, I think that the idea of schooling in this century is, you cannot think of school as existing within the 4 walls of a classroom, for sure. So everything that I've done in the past 9 years, especially with Young Scholars of Egypt and now with ACT Micro Schools, is definitely geared towards breaking the boundaries of the classroom walls.
So tell us about your story, your experience in education in the last few years. We're so excited to hear.
Okay, so I came to Egypt 11 years ago to help my mother open an international school in New Cairo. And after a few years of doing that, I was brutally faced with the reality of international schooling in Egypt, whereby big business trumps any kind of educational initiative. So whereby in the beginning it was, oh, we want to have the best school in Egypt. We want to give scholarships to gifted kids. We want to have an inclusive environment. We want to include the arts and the dramatic arts and understanding their important role in helping young children express themselves creatively. Very soon after it became, well, this is not helping the bottom line of profit. And so that was at the time that we moved on and founded Young Scholars of Egypt Micro School, first with 6 kids in my living room. That's how it started. My son was one of the 6 kids. And we grew it to a small community of 30 kids, and now we have 75 kids ages 3 to 17. We graduated our first student last year. It's been an exciting ride, but one of the most amazing things in this, and I've had the luxury of participating in wonderful schools and progressive schools in the US, is that we're able to be so much more flexible than even these very progressive schools where I was involved in the United States, because having a micro school means that grade levels are sort of collapsed together. So kids interact with each other outside of their own grade groups, which creates a much more natural social environment than what you find in traditional schooling environment. My son's best friend is 5 years older than he is, for example. You also wind up having more natural ability groups coming together. It's not based on, oh, you're in this grade, so you're reading this all together as a part of a group. No, every child is treated as an individual and is met from wherever he or she is, and is then pushed to go beyond that. We're also able to be out in the community much more than a traditional school, because we're not this heavy elephant that needs to move 1,500 kids every time you want to do some kind of community project. We're able to be much more flexible and be more involved within the community. And we've done different projects with different schools to help with tutoring kids from other schools. We've worked in animal welfare, and our kids have been very involved in helping to protect certain dog shelters within Egypt. Of course, COVID-19 puts a huge dent on all of these community initiatives, but even within the community itself, we're able to have a community whereby kids really help each other. Essentially, our kids are our best peer teachers. They are forever, because they work in mixed age groups, they're forever in leadership roles where they're helping younger children together. And I think this really empowers them to understand that even from a young age, they have something very special to offer, that they have knowledge and skills, and that they are valuable. We are a community where everyone counts, where everyone knows everyone's name, and that also helps them to feel valuable.
So how did the parents take that leap of faith to like remove themselves from the traditional society of education? And that in Egypt is like extremely difficult, I can assume. And
Yeah.
My other question is, how do you think the school is different from traditional education? How does it empower students in a way that is extremely stands out from different education systems over here?
So the initial parents who took the leap of faith were parents who actually already knew us through the school environment where we were. So our initial 30 were really parents who had come from there. Beyond that, we find a lot of parents who are looking for something different, and those are the parents we're really looking for. We don't advertise at all. We don't have any kind of, now we have ACT micro schools, and that's our official face, but Young Scholars of Egypt doesn't have any official presence in Egypt. And that's one of our main challenges, is that this kind of educational experience is not readily supported by the school environment and by the rules and regulations of the Ministry of Education. It just doesn't, it's a square peg in the round hole. It doesn't work in any way. And that's been one of our challenges. In terms of what makes us different, I think there are so many things that make us different. I think, especially when I think about other schools, there's this great, I would say, discontent amongst Egyptian families about the quality of education and what you get for your money in education in Egypt, and this forever feeling, because we always have this feeling in Egypt. It's because it's true most of the time that we're being ripped off, right? That somebody's trying to rip us off. And you find this within the parent community a lot in schools. Our parent community is completely different. Our parent community, they're our biggest supporters, they're our biggest cheerleaders, they're the ones who are there. What can we do to help? How can we be around there? They volunteer within, they understand that they're part of something that is different and special, and they take that, they cherish that, and that's been part of what has kept us going, even amongst a very challenging landscape. Beyond that, I think our kids wind up being very different, because their voices are so very empowered from a young age that they, when they're out and about, people say, where do you go to school? Because it's this idea that they speak with confidence. The dramatic arts is something that's a really big part of our program. So our kids have a big theater background, and they participate in assemblies from a young age, where you may have first and second graders presenting something to 9th and 10th graders, and they do that with confidence, and they're used to that. So they gain this the sense of self and self-worth within nurturing protected environment, but it allows them to go out into the world feeling much more independent and strong.
So to the 41 participants listening to your inspiring story today, who would be interested in maybe starting something similar, would you tell them some of the challenges that you met along the way, so they would not have so many surprises?
Don't do it in Egypt. It's been really challenging in Egypt. There are a lot of, like I said, there's no way to legalize what it is that we're actually doing within Egypt. And you may think, You may think, oh, I can help you. I can help you get this done. But 9 years, I've talked to 2 ministers of education. I've met with the dream team of the minister of education. I was invited to be on the dream team. So I've actually approached this from very many different perspectives. So the one thing that we wound up doing is in creating ACT is saying that, okay, we want to create this microschool model. We believe in microschooling as a method of empowering communities. But we recognize that doing it in Egypt is really challenging. So our goal is to find other communities on the continent whereby regulations would be more open towards this kind of environment. And we've zoned in on 3 locations, and those are Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa. And our plan pre-COVID was to open something this year in Nigeria, but COVID. But hopefully September 2021 will be a new start for us.
It's great that the 3 locations are related to Africa. That's a good coincidence. And speaking about COVID, let's speak about the challenges of COVID, but the promises as well. So COVID is opening up new potential for change. It's challenging the whole system. So how do you think educators all over the continent and all over the globe can use COVID as an opportunity, as an opening for change, as an opening for empowering students beyond schools?
Sure. So even before COVID, one of the things that we were considering doing was adopting a hybrid model of schooling whereby especially our older students wouldn't have to come to school 5 days a week. I think that COVID now makes that a no-brainer, right? Before, maybe parents would have seen that as, no, how can this work? Or will my child really get something done? But now that we've had this experience, and especially this year, we're operating a hybrid model, but we're actually running an outdoor school. So we let go of our building and we're operating completely outside as a means of trying to mitigate spread of disease. And so, like I said, our parents are big supporters, so they deal with this sort of thing. But I definitely think that COVID has opened the door to that kind of experience. I also think that it's because we couldn't open in Nigeria, one of the things we did do instead was to offer a series of online classes. And we now, for example, one of our biggest courses is working with kids and helping them to learn how to read and write in Arabic. And so we have kids from across the world who are learning to read and write in Arabic. And the idea that we believe that this experience this year will hopefully help us as we want to create this community of connected microschools so that we can better join forces together. So inshallah, our microschool in Nigeria won't just be this separate silo. It will really be integrated into what we've been doing with young scholars for the last 9 years.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to visit the school and see it growing across the continent. So best of luck. And maybe we can have some questions from our audience. If anyone has any questions, please go ahead. We have 2 minutes for the questions, or you can send us over the chat.
Just a quick question from me, Dina. So is your model sort of centrally? Do you have centralized curriculum that you support your micro schools with? And how much of that is digitalized? And then the last thing is, it's fantastic that you're going to be bringing it to South Africa. There's a very strong willingness and desire to create alternative schooling models, particularly homeschool based, with a couple of kids. So sounds like there's great potential there.
Right. That was actually one of our, when we were looking at different markets, was where was homeschooling legalized and where did it seem to where was there a fervor for alternative schooling? So in terms of our curriculum, yes, we have a centralized framework, but because local identity is such a big part of our model, each each framework then needs to be locally built up and locally developed from there. And one of our pillars is Pan-Africanism. So within that, really understanding who we are as Egyptians here in Egypt, but then who we are as Pan-African citizens. And the same idea if we look in Nigeria, who am I as a Nigerian? Who am I within my own ethnic group? And who am I as a Pan-African as well? And then connecting together. So it's both.
So we have just one question from the chat box. Has pedagogy changed? Is art, music, literature garnered more focus?
Is this a question directed about microschooling or directed to COVID? It's just so I can understand context.
Microschooling.
Microschooling. Well, absolutely. Well, we believe in an interdisciplinary approach to learning, and art and music and theater, they're all integrated into everything that we do. So even just as a very small example, this past week with our younger students, we were working on understanding our honor code and the 3 main principles of our honor code. And the kids, they wrote their own little plays, and then they filmed their plays, they presented their plays in an assembly. And that's a big part of the learning process. So when I say that theater is a big part of our process, it's more, not so much the kind of theater that you may think of with the big stage and the performance and whatnot, but it's more the idea of learning through performing arts. Similarly, the visual arts and the musical arts, art as a way of learning, we integrate in everything that we're doing into the arts, because you have kids who are so much more talented and on an artistic level, and we need to let them feel successful and that they can thrive and that they have a voice, and the arts offer a great way for that.
Have parents' involvement increased?
Excuse me?
Microschooling, because of microschooling, has parents' involvement increased?
Yes, absolutely. But that's something that is also intentional in the way that we seek out our families.
Right.
So, as like I said, we don't advertise at all. Our parents come in only through referral. So we're already looking for families who are looking to be actively involved in what we do. So we have parents who volunteer within teaching ICT to our kids, doing science workshops with them, doing yoga and mindfulness with our kids. So they're a really active part of what we do.
Fantastic.
So thank you very much, Dr. Dina, for your talk and for having, sharing this experience with us today.
I have another question, please.
Yeah, sure.
Dina, what do you think the using micro STEAM and your school? I think it's very important for kids to develop their skills.
Sorry, how do I use what within the school?
STEAM, science, technology, engineering. Yep.
Yeah. Well, so in fact, much of what we do is STEAM related. And like I said, we believe very much in an interdisciplinary approach to learning. So especially on an elementary level, literacy is very rarely done purely for literacy's sake. A lot of times we will approach literacy through the sciences, and that allows us to have way more exposure to different scientific topics than in a traditional school, where maybe in an elementary school you may have 45 minutes twice a week of science for it. So that's not, we work off of theme-based topics where kids go super duper in depth and therefore get to experiment more. We also, it's part of how we integrate our peer-to-peer learning. We have different programs specifically for that, and one of them is called Science Buddies. So we have older kids who do science experiments and explorations with younger students. So it's not led by teachers, it's led by other kids, and the kids get very involved in it. It's one of the most fun times of the week.
Okay, so we have just one final question. what about the cost implication on digitalization of education? Who bears it?
Well, education is, and high quality education is costly, because to mentor teachers and to develop programming, it does take a lot of resources. Ideally, you would hope that you would have a government that would help and would support the production of high quality education models. Sadly, in Egypt, that isn't the case. And so in Egypt, parents bear the brunt of that cost. For us, we've managed to do this on what is basically a shoestring budget for the last 9 years. That's sort of come at my own personal expense, but I have other rewards outside of the financial ones. But it's definitely been it's definitely a challenge. And in Egypt, in the last 10 years, you'll find that the cost of schooling has doubled and tripled. And sadly, what makes parents feel like they're getting ripped off is they don't feel in most cases, they don't feel the impact on their kids. They don't feel as if this money, now it's so much more expensive, but did anything really change? Are my kids really getting what they need? And that's one of the big challenges.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dina. I'm sure our participants have many questions that maybe they can share in the breakout room discussions with you as well. And now we move on to our next two speakers. We have Mrs. Khadija Shita and Mrs. Lubna Fayed from Alexandria International School. And Mrs. Khadija is a math teacher and also a SEL coordinator. And Mrs. Lubna is an English teacher, an SEL coordinator. And we were wondering if they can share with us their SEL experience and how they started shifting from a traditional model of just focusing on academics into the world of social emotional learning. The floor is yours.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be with you here. Thank you, Ms. Dina. Thank you so much. I want to tell you first, I'm Khadija. I've been teaching for 12 years now. I'm a mother of 2 boys, Mazen and Ahmed. I would like to share this with you. It all started in 2015 when I volunteered with a group of teachers that were passionate about the students' well-being and the social and emotional learning to form or apply the SEL strategies across our school. And it got deeper and it went really serious when I started getting more training courses about these topics, the social emotional learning and the human well-being in general. And I started holding my own training courses and let other teachers learn from the experience. Okay, I cannot deny that this experience was really helpful. When I dug deeper into these strategies, I became really more stable. I became happier. It helped me a lot to raise my children in a more cheerful way. And speaking of happiness, I remember one of the remarkable events that I held in my school, at my school. It was announcing the start of a happiness campaign. I asked some students to help me to arrange like a happiness campaign across the school to spread the happiness and to prove that school may be a nice place to have time at. And I asked the students to help me doing this. And we announced the start. We had many activities like events and activities to show them that school may be a happy place. And now I want to share with you a short video collecting some pictures of this event. Yes, Robin, can you help, please? The first one. Thank you so much. Thank you. What? No sound, I think. Okay. Yes, thank you so much.
Khadija, can I just
Thank you,
check?
Robin.
Did you have sound?
I didn't have the sound.
Okay,
For
I
this
just
one,
have to
please.
for the next video. I'll sort
Okay,
it out
thank you.
because
Yes,
thanks.
it's okay. For this one, fine, but the second one, it's really important. Yes, thank you, Robin, so
Maybe,
much.
yeah, maybe Robin, you keep your microphone on. You keep your microphone unmuted.
Perfect. Yes, that's what I realized afterwards.
Okay, never mind. Thank you, dear. Thank you so much. Okay, actually, within few weeks after this event and after the campaign, we touched the effect of empowering the students and involving them in such activities. And we, with the help of other teachers, we started improving our representing more values such as compassion, kindness, uplifting others, and to spread positive vibes across the school. Actually, I then discussed with the children many values with the help of other teachers about many values were discussed across the curriculum. Okay, we had some lessons just special for these values, for their activities, such as resilience, gratitude, and respect. And that's all what I got as introduction, Ms. Dina.
Okay, so Ms. Khadija, thank you so much for that. We're so excited actually to have you here and to know more about the happiness and well-being campaign. So would you please tell us, yeah, if there are more? Yeah.
Yes. The SEL learning, SEL in the pedagogy needs some training for teachers. Are you able to train other teachers to adopt SEL type methodologies into their pedagogy?
Yes, we got actually many training courses before we let the teacher know about. And I cannot deny that we had some challenges. You know, here in Egypt, the teachers care all the time about the marks, the grades, and so on to finish their curriculum and so on. But actually, after about 2 years, the concept or the word of the SEL became very familiar at our school, actually.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so Khadija, I was actually telling you, so could you please tell us more about a more recent activity or an event that you have done recently in this campaign?
Yes, thank you so much, Yumna. Yes, actually, I had a very recent one. It was 1 year ago when I went through gratitude. We all, as a school, went through the gratitude. We helped our students to practice the gratitude, how to be grateful for everything that they have. They took just for granted. Then, so we asked them to make many activities such as the gratitude journal, the gratitude jar. We encourage them to send some letters to their parents, to their teachers, school drivers, school workers, and so on. And as a reward, I decided to let them hear some voice notes recorded by their messages, by their mothers, to say thank you. And I played them during the morning time. So I have it here, Robin, please. I have a sample.
Just wanting to unmute myself first.
Okay, thank you.
And there we go. This one. Can you hear?
No, I think it's not working.
That's fine. You know what? I'm going to just do it this way. I've had experience with this before. Zoom doesn't always. So I've just got to get the timing right. Sorry.
Yes, it's working now.
Love you so much. You are a very kind girl, and you're very helpful, and you're obedient. You do homeworks, and you know what to do without me telling you, and that's very good about you. That's what I love about you. You're responsible. You're very nice. and we love to be around you all the time. I love you very much, Dodo, and I wish you all the best, my sweetheart.
Thank you, Robin. This was one of the messages, and you can see that children were really touched, and all of us actually were deeply touched by their reactions and emotions.
Yeah, this is very interesting, and yeah, it's very emotional as well.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, knowing that you have to take everything not for granted actually, and to be thoughtful and mindful about everything that you do have is a very good thing to plant actually, or to put the seeds in our children since they were very, very young. And yeah, so if you have any questions for Miss Khadija, so please keep your questions till the breakdown rooms, because we're going to have those rooms as soon as possible. And Dina, do you have any other questions or thoughts to share with Miss Khadija?
I'd like to thank Ms. Khadija for her inspiring story, and just ask her what was the most difficult challenge she had in changing the ideas or paradigm of thought in her colleagues, not in the parents, because I bet the change among your peers and friends was the most challenging.
Actually, the most challenging thing was about telling them that the social emotional learning is actually, we can say it's embedded into our job, and that teaching is not just a job, it's a hard work. So to be a good teacher, it's not only about just telling the lessons, because now the materials are very available everywhere. We can now self-educate. Our self-education is available, and anyone can look for the information everywhere. So this was very, very challenging with my colleagues to convince them, guys, we have to focus on the emotional part, on the character building part. This is very, very important. And the great thing, the great feedback that we got from a parent when she tells us that you changed my child, instead of being shy, hate the school, whatever. So I let them be very open, and the children got the self-confidence. The good sense of the self is really, really important. It worked, but actually it took time, but it worked at the end.
I think it's an ongoing process, and as you said,
Yes.
teaching is a work of art.
Yes.
So moving on to Mrs. Lubna, I'm really interested in your sharing with us your experience and your insights about how implementing SEL in your own classroom and in your school changed or affected your mindset, especially during COVID, with all the challenges, the emotional challenges and burdens that we're all facing.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Dina. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure. I just feel very fortunate to join this amazing meeting with a bunch of amazing participants from all over the world. I would like to say something that I saw some people asking questions in the chat box about what is social and emotional learning, and how can we teach this to children. So I just want to tell you that simply, who doesn't need to learn about decision making? Who doesn't need to learn about getting along with others? Who doesn't need to learn about coping with one's emotions? So this is what SEL is about. We're teaching our students that there has to be difficult times in their lives. They're going to meet problems, they're going to meet challenges. Not everyone is going to be kind to them. So we're trying to empower them, help them not just to be empowered, but also stand up for others, step up for others who get bullied sometimes. So I myself, after reading a lot about social and emotional learning and working with this amazing curriculum and approach with my students in the class for more than 9 years, I just now feel that I see my students as an iceberg. And I just want to make this clear to everyone. Whenever I look at my students in the class, I don't see them as as behaviors or reactions. I feel that the behavior or the reaction is just the top part of the iceberg. There is a lot below the iceberg. You know, the picture of an iceberg, there's always a very tiny part at the top, at the surface that you can see, and there's a lot below. So we as teachers, as educators, we have to take into consideration that below the behavior or behind the behavior, there is anger, there are different emotions, need for attention, need for connection. There might be sadness, there might be low self-esteem. So there's a lot behind what the students do. So we should not judge their behavior so quickly. We should be very patient and as kind as possible. Going back to Ms. Dina's question, well, I think that practicing SEL in my classroom for those years, it definitely affected me as a teacher and as a mother, because I already have 2 kids, and it affected the way we guide our students. I still remember the last March when the school announced, we can't say it's closure, but that everything is going to be online. We can't deny that some of the students were very depressed. They're not going to school anymore. Some parents were so frustrated because they didn't know what to do with their kids. How will the kids spend their time? They felt really depressed, frustrated, annoyed, and some people were so they were so lost. They didn't know what to do. So actually, the second day we announced something. It's like a campaign. We called it AIS Adversity Campaign. The idea was to teach our students that we can turn this adversity into an advantage. So we started reminding them about their potentials and that they can spend their time. Now they have a lot of time to spend at home. So they can spend their time drawing, learning new languages. They can spend their time reading, and this was something very beneficial for them. And we encourage them to share with us what they are up to. We already have a Facebook group and a website where we communicate with our students. So we encourage them to share with us what they are up to. And actually it was, you know, it's just like the magic dust of SEL. It started, we saw an amazing flow of students sharing their crafts, their paintings, their inspiring videos. Can you imagine this? Some students, because they learned that they can make good use of the time, they created YouTube channels and they started expressing themselves. So we had an amazing flow of ideas, and once it started displaying and posting on the Facebook group, it's like, you know, everyone got affected, to the extent that the beauty and power of positivity also extended to the parents. We found that the mothers also, and they wanted to share their passions about cooking and drawing, and they started sending us amazing recipes that they really cook well. So it's not only kids actually who need to be empowered and loved and heard. It's everyone. I say it's human nature. So I will just leave you with a short video, because we have over 450 pictures on the drive, 450 pictures that show the different participation. But I'm going to show you some of them, the things that our students did during their lockdown.
That's beautiful. And I love that. It's just so true. All human beings need to be loved. It's part of our nature. So wonderful. SEL for all. Here you go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Robin, for sharing this. Thank you. I just want to tell you that everything in the video now reminded us of those times. It was really overwhelming and empowering. Yeah, I know I made you feel hungry. This is how it felt actually. The recipes made us really hungry. But you know, the parents were so excited to share their recipes, so we even turned it into a cooking competition. So I think that, you know, this resilience that we keep on teaching to our kids, automatically, when you become an SEL instructor, you will be affected. You will find yourself automatically thinking in a resilient way. Okay, now we're locked down, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. We can still enjoy, we can still connect, we can still have fun. So this is how it went. Yani.
Fantastic, thank you. Dina, I see there's just a question, and Chuck, Chandri also asked that we just check in on it from Angelina. Just how do you handle, Christine at least, how do you handle learners who break rules and regulations in class?
Hello. Hello.
Ms. Lopez,
Okay.
I have a question for you.
Robin, would you please repeat the question again? Just repeat it again.
The question is how do you handle misbehavior in class, basically, children who break rules?
Yeah. Well, actually, there are lots of channels, but I still remember the day that I had a student in the class that he was he was a troublemaker, and lots of teachers complained that he's not really behaving well, he's not listening, he's always, you know, he wants to grab attention by causing any kind of trouble. So I remember the day that we figured out an idea that we made him in charge of the class library. We had a class library, and we told him, you're going to be the librarian. He had a log, and he had to write the names of the students who put the books and return the books. Once he felt important, once he felt in charge, when he felt that he's not annoying us, and that we love him and we accept him, his attitude shifted. So my point of view is that we should always keep them busy and let them know that they are not a source of annoyance to us, because before assigning him missions to do, he was really annoying everyone, annoying the teachers and his friends. But when we talked to him, we gave him a mission, he felt that he's a leader, he completely changed. We even received the feedback from his parents that he's even changing at home. So, you know, the point is, some teachers, they just give up so quickly on the students. They just decide that so and so they are troublemakers, and we just don't want to deal with them. But the students, no matter how young they are, they get this feeling so quickly, and they decide to react in even a more terrible way. Yes, Andrew, leaving no student behind, this is the secret of it all. And I always, even when I used to do like trainings for the teachers, they used to tell me, okay, this is just theoretical, it's not applicable. I used to tell them something. If you look at each student in your class as if he's your own kid, you would never give up on him. So just try to imagine this. What if this student is your own kid, your own daughter, your own son? Would you give up on him because he's misbehaving? Would you just kick him out of your house because he's not listening to the rules? Definitely not. You will keep trying to think how to connect. Maybe there's something, as I told you, remember the iceberg. Maybe there's something behind his reactions. So I don't know if I still have time, but this takes me to another thing that we did once in our school, and it really worked amazingly. With the help of the art teachers, we designed something called the Speak Up box, and it was a wooden box, beautifully decorated. I hope if Miss Dina or Robin can share, it's just a picture. And we encourage the kids to send letters if they get bullied, if they get hurt, if someone treats them in a humiliating way. And to my astonishment, I received a lot of letters. The students knew that it's a locked box and the only key is with me. So I was fortunate that they trusted me enough, and they started sending letters because they know that no one is going to read them except me. And to my astonishment, I read letters from students who were only at the age of 9 and 10, complaining about being bullied because of their not being so fashionable, being bullied because they're not good at soccer, and this happens a lot, especially among boys. I don't know what's wrong with the soccer thing. Once the boy is not a professional soccer player, then he gets bullied and they don't want him in the match. So I started receiving plenty of letters. I remember a letter from a girl being bullied from her friends because she's a little bit fat. So I received many letters and I started handling them one at a time, and there was a difference. So I just think that teachers need to pay very good attention to what's going within their students. And thank you for listening. I had so much fun today.
Thank you, Mrs. Lubna. I'm sure our audience have lots
Lubna,
of questions.
and Dina.
Yeah.
Lubna and Dina, I would like to thank you, Lubna, for your intervention, for beautiful intervention. We'll just try, because I always hear this expression of leaving no student behind, and I love it. But I would say that today, because we are talking about empowering students, learners, so we would say bringing all students forward.
Yeah, thank you for sharing the picture. That's the speak up box, as you see. And it really encouraged a lot of people to put their complaints and worries inside. It really helped. So it's easy to apply. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to our next speakers, Yumna, could you please introduce us to our students? Because we really focus on knowing their perspective. They're the one that matters in the empowerment paradigm, right?
Definitely, Dina. So now let's welcome Yahya Walid. He is a 20-year-old second-year college student at the Faculty of Arts, Applied Languages program, Alexandria University. And also he works as a full-timer in an international company. So yes, Yahya, the floor is yours now.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Yumna. So, hello everyone. I'm Yahya Walid, and it's amazing to be here today. It's like I'm over the moon, like literally. Having these experiences and seeing these videos and photos and everything, it's just an amazing experience. So first off, I want to thank you all for the efforts that's been like going on here. And yeah, that's it. So
yes, Yahya, let me ask you a question. So could you please tell us some more about the challenges that you have faced pre and during COVID-19 in terms of the educational system, and to what extent did you feel that the educational system contributes in reshaping your thoughts and self-empowering?
Definitely. So pre-COVID, we definitely had like the normal like educational cycle. We did have the normal. We have the normal like curriculum, the syllabus. It's totally normal. Nothing is out like something too creative. However, when we were put under the pressure of like COVID and not being able to have the social interaction, like being face-to-face with our teachers, so it was definitely a very hard task to do. So putting aside like any kind of like network connections and like any kind of social interaction was the very, very tough, it was the very tough bump for me, to be completely honest, because me personally, I'm someone who's very, I love my friends, to be completely honest, and I do have lots of friends. So being interactive with these friends, it's not about that these like tools don't let us interact. Actually, they may let us interact more. However, we could not use them well at the beginning. And this was the very first bump that we faced, that we weren't able actually to understand it like very quickly. However, we did get back on our feet And me personally, I have lots of experiences regarding that because also I have another side job at my school. So when I graduated from my school, they did also have this problem. And I was helping them actually because I really love my school, and we have like a really small school, and we wanted to implement like a new teaching mechanism, like Bloom's taxonomy. I'm not sure if anyone's like, if everyone's like familiar with that. However, I do have a picture of it. So this is Bloom's taxonomy. It's some kind of like technique to get the children interactive with us. And since I was like a student at the same time I was a teacher, we needed to find a way how to implement that correctly. And we used actually things that caught their attention right now. And I think that's what was really good, which is using TikTok. TikTok is a very important app to kids right now, and it's very interesting for them. And we required their homework and even their tasks, their assignments to be on TikTok without doing the very like hard work, the boring work. It's boring already to stay at home and be in lockdown. So using TikTok actually was a very good alternative to keep the children up and running and doing these. And it helped us get through most bumps in the road. So yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Yahya. This is really nice, and it's so creative ideas that you have shared with us. Thank you so much. And now let me introduce Rodayna. Rodayna El-Shimi is a third-year student at the Faculty of Arts Applied Languages Program English section, and I'm so interested and so excited actually to have you, Rodayna. So yes, we would like to listen more from you, and could you please tell us more about the challenges that you have faced, and maybe before and during COVID-19 as a student?
Hello all. I'm so happy for having me. I see COVID-19. As for me, it's pretty much negative because doctors and teachers allow to make us make more assignments, and offer from us more and more curriculums, and even the lectures. The lecture time on college were like 2 hours, 3 hours. At home, they can be with us like 5 hours or more, and the researches we can make more researches, like 5 researches in a week. This is in college wouldn't happen ever, never. And the friends, the interaction face to face is much easier than the online learning. So I see the distant learning is much negative for me, and we are taking much curriculum than the college, and that's only any. Thank you.
Yes, so Rodayna, do you, as a student, do you have any suggestions of how to make this process more interactive during COVID?
I think the way of learning could be more changeable, like interaction. We didn't interact ever. Questions, presentations. We didn't make either presentations on the distance learning. While in college, we did like once, twice. I think this is the issue that I have.
Well, definitely, your voice is heard, and we are all teachers, and we love to know the feedback of the students every now and then in order to improve and enhance the educational system and the methodologies that we are following. And I would like to thank you all. And I guess that we're done with the speakers part now. We're now going to move on to the interactive and the breakdown rooms. I guess so. Robin and Dina and Professor Abdelaziz.
Thank you so much, Yomna. Yes, what we would like to do now is for everybody just to take a deep breath, because there's been a lot of incoming experience and interesting kind of perspectives coming through, some really beautiful, very, very simple. This is the thing, they're very simple techniques about connecting with our students, how to be human together. And we're going to send everybody off into breakout rooms with 4 or 5 people and ask you really just to get to know each other a little bit better, start bouncing around some thoughts about what you've heard. We have 2 breakout rooms planned. The first one's going to be a little bit shorter, 10 minutes. And really what we want you to do in this 10 minutes is specifically share, I don't know if you can see that, but just please share your names. And if you're able to do what Karima did with us, very quickly, just why your name makes you happy. So your name and the country that you are from, and then just share a specific moment that you experienced in your learning journey. It can be from when you were in grade 1 years ago, or it can be from last year, when you felt truly empowered and connected to the world beyond your learning institution. Please just to remember, we've got 10 minutes, 4 or 5 of you in a room, about 2 minutes each. And if all of you, please, can hold space for each other so that equality of thought happens. There's time for everyone to talk. So you're allowed to boss people around when they go over 2 minutes and say, time's up. So Aziz, if you could send us out into our breakaway rooms, we will post very simple questions, your name, why your name makes you happy, the country that you're from, and a specific moment in your own learning journey that made you feel empowered and connected beyond your learning institution. Thank you. Off we go. And when we come back, I'll just speak to fill the silence a little. When we come back, we'd love to hear from you. Just a thought. So while you're in your room, just nominate one person. You can give us your thoughts that came out, something that moved you from the room in a few seconds when we come back into our main plenary. And we also would just love to hear from our Kenyan hosts, the hosts that are going to be hosting us next, as they just give their own reflections back on what they've experienced so far. All right, Dress, I see you've got a question while we're waiting to go into our rooms.
Hello.
Hi, Dress.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
hello,
we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can indeed.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for these insightful, ideas that we received from all of the people who have shared their experiences and who talks about different issues related to education. And I just want to make a comment regarding, the experience of COVID. This experience, showed that there are a lot of shortcomings or drawbacks, or in the educational systems, especially in Africa. I would say that one of the objectives of the educational systems in Africa doesn't insist on the autonomy of the learner, to create an autonomous learner. So this experience has shown to us that this is one of the things that we need, say it in other words, to rethink on the objective, the educational objectives of our educational systems. That's
100%, Tris.
Sorry?
Yeah, I say 100%. I think that is the thing. You know, really, how do we rethink education? How do we humanize it? How do we make it learner-centric? And how do we encourage each other to do that? So when we come back, hopefully we'll be able to have some thoughts. Let's break out into our breakaway rooms.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Tris.
My pleasure.
Can you? Hi, Aziz.
Hi, Karima. How are you?
I'm fine. So nice to be here. It's wonderful as
So
usual.
nice to see you again. So nice to see you again.
Aziz, I was in a breakout room. I have challenges
Yes,
with my PC. Can you try to kick me back in?
Which one were you in? You do
3.
remember?
3.
3. Okay.
I was just started a conversation with Lucy and left.
Mm-hmm. So can you please click join the rooms to join your rooms? Because we have assigned you to different rooms. Join your room and have that chat with people that you're going to be with. Sidris. Hey, my friend. How are you, man?
Hello, Mr. Aziz. I'm here.
Yeah, thank you for
Thanks
joining.
a lot.
I'm good, my friend. It's a pleasure having you. So you have to join your room now. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. You are in room in one of the rooms. So we would like you if you can join the room that I sent you in.
Okay, let's see if I can see that, because like.
Yes.
Okay, so I have sent. So I will join you with in your room now. Is that it?
No, yeah, you are going to join another room. Okay, you're going to join another room.
Okay. So how do I do that? Go slower. I couldn't find where I can join my room. Mr. Aziz. Hello.
Hi, Wad and Maggie. How are you? So welcome back, everyone. I hope you've had a good experience sharing with each other in those rooms with smaller groups, trying to a little bit going maybe back to your experiences at school and sharing some of your the moments you lived where you felt empowered beyond school. Maybe we can just wait for everyone to join back. And as we are waiting, we can maybe listen to one or two of you sharing very, very quickly what you really liked in those rooms.
Yeah, so please pop up your hands, pop it in the chat group. What was it for you that really was an empowering experience when you were in a learning institution that took you out of the framework of just the academics and into something that personally created impact? So please share with us in the chat group, and then also just pop up your hand if you'd be keen to share.
Robin, the chat is disabled. Can you please check?
Aziz will have to check. It's on his.
Yeah, Aziz, Dr. Aziz, can you please check? Maybe we can share groups, or we're waiting for other people.
Well, I think let's start sharing. While we are here. So Chakri, what is your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
So from our team, Lubna will summarize for us. Lubna, take it away, please.
Yes, sure, it's my pleasure. We just spent a few minutes, but just spontaneously we found out that we all have a lot in common. First, speaking of the names, it was very interesting. I got to know that Georgina's name, it's a Greek word and it means helper, and that's why she always likes to help out other people. Andrew's name, it means it's something related to rain and blessings, which was really inspiring. I never knew that this is the meaning of the name Andrew. And for Chakra, excuse me if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but he said that his name, it means it's a wheel, and he's holding a wheel, and it reminds him of something something that was in his childhood. At an early age, his teachers used to tell him that he's really a good learner and that he can lead. So this is something that he shared with us. And I just want to say 4 things that we found in common that we all agreed about. Andrew said that we are all moving along the same journey of life. Chakra said that we all have the same challenges all around the world as educators. Georgina said that we all have the same fear when it comes to speaking in public, and this is true. We all become a little bit worried and anxious. We might do mistakes that we never do in real life. And I said that we're all passionate about education. So the short meeting with the 3 of them was amazing to me, and we really enjoyed talking to each other. Thank you, Robin, and to everyone, the organizers, for this.
Yes. Thank you, Lubna. Thank you so much. Maybe because of time constraints, you will excuse us a bit. We're going to move to our next speakers. Andrew, are you here? Andrew, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So Andrew, I'll just, please introduce the next speakers so that they can interact with our speakers and reflect on what they have been listening to. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abdelaziz. Thank you so much, Abdelaziz. My name is Andrew Wambua, an educator and a researcher, and I work very closely with Robin and Abdelaziz. Actually, we form the operational team. I would like to introduce the Kenyan speakers. The first one is Angeline Mutei Musyoki. Angeline Mutei Musyoki is an educator and a secondary school principal. She has a wealth of experience in teaching. Right now, she's heading a girls' school with a population of more than 800 students. The next speaker goes by the name Dr. Lucy. The next speaker goes by the name Dr. Lucy Wakianga, who is an educator at Tangaza University College in Kenya. She has a world of experience in education. And I do believe that by Kenya being the host of the Africa Voices Dialogue series in January, they bring with them a lot of experience, a lot.
Thank you, Andrew.
A lot of knowledge on the topic in due course. Back to you, Abdelaziz.
So can I jump in, Aziz? So thank you. Thanks, Andrew. So I think Lucy and Angelina, less than being speakers per se, really what we would love to hear from you is just having listened in on what the contributors from Egypt have said, having sat in a breakout room. What are your freshest thoughts in reflecting back on what you've heard today, what you've heard coming through from our Egyptian colleagues, from the rooms that you've been in, your freshest, clearest thoughts? So let's ask you, Lucy.
Okay, so thank you, Robin, and thank you to your entire team. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes,
okay,
Lucy,
thank you.
you.
So just thank you. So just from the conversations, I kind of had a challenge logging in a little earlier at the start. But one of the presenters, the teacher, was talking about the iceberg, and that has really stuck in my head. And really thinking about not just looking superficially at the learner, but going deeper and going deeper to develop a better understanding of the learner. So this whole concept of socio-emotional learning, really important. And I don't think we do enough of it. Just taking that pause to think about the learner. And when I was in the breakout room, Karima, I hope I'm sounding her name out correctly. Karima was talking about, before we even think about understanding the student, also to understand ourselves, we need to self-reflect. So when we self-reflect, know who we really are, then we can be able to understand the learner. So those are some of the things that stood out for me. I'll add a little more once my colleague has been given an opportunity and there's extra time for me to add one or two things. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Lucy. Angelina, your thoughts?
Oh, thank you, Robin, for this opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfectly.
You can hear me. Thank you for this opportunity. As you have heard, I've been a teacher for the last 24 years, and for the last 8 years, I'm an administrator of a school of around 888 students, ranging from the age of 13 to 18. However, from the conversations we have had, I've got to learn that a teacher is very instrumental in a student's life in school, not only in school, but even after school. Because we have shared with a colleague from Morocco who said the teacher who taught him English made him love the language, and that is what he's teaching now. And that is why we are saying the teacher's influence is internal. You cannot tell how far it reaches in a student's life. What am I saying? I'm saying that if parents or if teachers get to love their students and get concerned in their life and show some sense of care, students will change for the best. They'll have a good environment to learn, and this will empower them even to treat people in a better way when they become adults. And this is why a teacher's formation for a student is very key. And this is what can transform our lives for better, even after our learning is over in schools. Because we'll go out there and practice what we got from our teachers. If our teachers were loving, then we shall give love, because we cannot give what we do not have. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So I think what we would really like to do now is to ask for thoughts from all of you. So if you can please, let's just take 10 seconds, just pause and settle and think through what is it that struck you most, either from your conversations in the room or from the general speaker's conversation that really struck you most. And we would love to hear your voices, sharing your experience and sharing your thoughts on what we've heard so far. Rabah, I see that you've unmuted. Did you want to say something? No.
Okay.
So 10 seconds. Okay, is there anybody who would like to share their
Robin,
thoughts
is
with
it
us?
open?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes,
Go
Lucy,
ahead.
carry on.
Okay, I think what I've really enjoyed from this conversation is really the whole concept of the centrality of the learner, the child, really focusing on the child. And something that we tend to forget is the resources that we now have when we look at how COVID has made us change the way we teach. Yahya said something that was really something that stood out for me, and it's something I've been trying to encourage even my students, the creativity in teaching. And you see them using modern, the technology and the social media aspects to be able to create learning that is interesting. He mentioned TikTok. There's also another teacher who talked about making YouTube videos, Facebook, WhatsApp. So just to encourage our teachers not to fear technology, but then embrace technology, because that is where our learners are. Our learners are not seated in the classroom. They are actually in this technology. They are making TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely, Lucy. And I think this is the thing. This is the incredible richness that young teachers have to bring, who actually understand
Videos they are making and move with them. And it will also be a learning curve for us. Yeah.
Sorry, Lucy, you froze there for a moment, so I thought you'd maybe finished.
No, I'm done. Go ahead, Robin.
No, fantastic. I was just saying this is, I know in South Africa, we've got quite a big group of very vibrant young teachers, and it is unbelievable to see what they are able to do in very, very difficult circumstances, simply because they completely get the mindset of the student and what it is that's going to encourage them to learn and fall in love with learning. Fantastic. So who else would like to share some thoughts back with us all?
I will share my thoughts. Many times we as educators, we have been so much concentrating on other competencies, the so-called the global competencies, which are not yet in us, but you have forgotten to inculcate or to integrate the social-emotional learning skills, which are very critical. Our students are graduating from schools, and when they join the job market, they lack these skills. They lack these skills, which are very, very critical. So today it was a learning opportunity for all of us to walk the talk and lead by example, and to work with the students that they may develop these very critical and very crucial skills in this 21st century.
Thank you, Andrew. Is Trista still on the call with us?
I think there is Bari, Robin.
Perfect.
Yes, thank
Barina.
you. Yes, I'm the one. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I've learned a lot since I joined this caucus, but particularly today, I think there is something that has reaffirmed what I had before, which is dealing with difficult students in class. I think what one of the speakers shared for me is very practical and very real. That sometimes the so-called, in quote, difficult students also have talents and they may be ignored. So as teachers, if we can focus sometimes on the difficult students and see how we can bring out the best that is in them, instead of just brushing them aside or giving them a name. I feel it's an invitation for me to be more conscious of such students in the class. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Baronem. Sahila. Sahila, your hand is up. Sahila Issa.
Sahila? Okay, yes, can maybe I'll
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I was unmuting my mic.
Go ahead.
I'm from Egypt. I'm a second-year student, and I would like to share from my perspective that the barrier between the online education and the students is firstly a psychological barrier. And I think that we should organize initiatives to break that psychological barrier. The idea of students, they feel the lack of communication, and they are suppressed and unable to express their feelings and opinions in the lecture or with the students. It's the psychological barrier that kept them from enjoying the online learning. And then after we succeed in this breaking this barrier, we should go on and teach them how to deal with this application in order to have a full and successful education, online education learning. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, so I just wanted to add a piece of information that we have discussed in the breakout room, and I really wanted to focus on this. This is like in COVID and out of COVID, parents, how do they affect the children in the learning? I had the privilege of having like really supportive parents, and they really understood the idea that this is I'm learning, I'm not getting grades, I'm not a number. I'm learning, I'm just more than a number. I'm not just a walking grade. I'm not like an A+ or an F. Like I'm Yahya. I have my age, I have my character, my personality. And this builds up a kid's personality. And me being on both sides of being the student and being the teacher, I did understand this because I have just experienced it in a good way, actually. And I did see people getting affected from it negatively, and I see how negative they got from it. So it's really important for the parents to implement in them, like do like parent meetings, and for them to understand that their kids matter and that they are human beings, and that we need to implement the ideas that they have a responsibility, and they have a personality, and that they have a character, and it's important to develop that. This is not only for learning, this is for their own sake of their being, of a normal human being, a full human being, interacting with the big wide world later on. So it's really important. I just wanted to add that.
I love that. I love it. You know, it makes me Karima think so much of the workshop that we ran recently, which is, and I've just got the song, words to that song, I Want to Know Your Name, come through, because that's what it's about. You know, it's about parents wanting to know their children, and as educators wanting to know your name, not just what you can do. Georgina, and then Lubna.
Yes, I want to.
Christine also wanted to intervene, so maybe we will also ask Christine to intervene after.
Yes, Georgina, Lubna, Christine. Thank you.
Okay, so what I just wanted to add to is the children that we are leaving behind because they are not making the good grades. That's what really struck me. This morning I was reading a quote from Chuck Grassley that said, "What makes a child gifted and talented may not always be good grades in school, but a different way of looking at the world and learning." And most of the time, when it comes to especially Africa, a lot of kids are left behind because they don't make the grades in school. And we don't even know if this child is dyslexic, or without any diagnosis, most of the time we don't have the root cause of why the child is not making the grades, but we just leave them behind. So I think it's very important that we as Africans look into knowing the root cause of what this child needs to make the grade, or if the child have a different way of learning, or if the child can succeed in life without, just making A's in school. So that's what I just want to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Lubna.
Thank you, Robin, for allowing me to talk again. I just wanted to add something. It's just a reminder for myself and to everyone that it's never too late to change your mindset. Like some people here in the audience today, they might think that with our personalities have been like that for so long, we cannot do the change today. What I want to say is that you can change today. You can change right now. So if you like some things of what you heard, if you heard something that really caught your attention, start and apply it. It's never late, and it's you can always change how it goes inside your mind. And this is the idea of growth mindset. You can always change your opinion, your perspectives. I just want to say that before I'm like a month ago, I felt that this online teaching is really hectic and I'm not doing so well with it like an ordinary classroom. And then I decided to try to make an effort and make it work. The day we had to write a film review, I had the opportunity of watching the movies with my students. We watched all the movies through Zoom application. So before they did the review writing, because they have to write 2 pages about the movie, the plot, the cast, the script, the visual effects, we had an amazing workshop. They chose the movies they like Maze Runner, like Elona Holmes, like whatever movies. And I divided them into groups and I watched them with them. So this wasn't available before COVID-19 actually. We never watched movies together because there's no time in school. But now it's COVID-19 that everyone is complaining about, but you can turn it from adversity to advantage. So I just wanted to share this with everyone, and thank you, Robin.
Fantastic, thank you. Christina and then Murad.
Yes, I got to learn about the the inculcating of values in the minds of children. And really, this is really enlightening, especially when we link up the learning outcomes with the variety. As teachers, we have a whole responsibility of making the kind of a child that we need, that we may be able to have a society that is of our own making if we want responsible children, and children with respect, and children with resilience, and children who can be able to focus. Then I think the room is open when we inculcate these values in the minds of the children, so that we may not be able to talk about children without values, and children who are corrupt, and children who have got no discipline. Now, education really is an eye-opener, and that way, by inculcating values in the minds of children, then we are good to go as a country, we are good to go as a society to have it through the learning system. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine. And we're nearly out of time. So Murad, Aisha, and then we're going to close off. Murad.
Firstly, thank you so much. I think this kind of conversation open our eyes to new way to teaching. So I think as educator or teacher, we must learn every day. We must change ideas with the teacher for another subject, because it's not like before we focus just in mathematics or like something that, but we must open our eyes in different area. We must learn about soft skills, about emotional intelligence. We must also learn about management. For example, in my case, I consider my students like a manager, because they manage their education. and we must think globally, and we must act locally. So we must take action every day for building new idea and evaluate it. After that, ask another people who they have more experience and listen them and take action. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Murad. I believe that the chat is not functioning for everyone. It's functioning for some people, but not for others. And so sorry about that. But what we would love to do is after the session, please, if you can, we want to send out a little note just asking for your thoughts as feedback so that we can compile something rich around social and emotional learning from this group. So because the chat is disabled, we can't necessarily do it here, but please, when you get a mail from us asking for your thoughts, please just drop us a line about what you think and feel given today's discussion. Aisha, going to you now. And then lastly to Angelina, and then we have to stop.
Yes, hello. Firstly, I want to say that today was really amazing. I was so happy to talk with you all and hear the beautiful and amazing and creative thoughts and ideas from all the speakers. I'm a college student. I'm from Egypt. When I heard about today, I was really excited to see how it will be like, and I felt like it was something new that I have to try, and I'm really, really, really happy that I did. I heard a lot of amazing thoughts and ideas, like knowing the students' background and making them speak about their emotions, and because really bringing out expressing your emotions and feelings, I think it makes everyone from a young age or old or any age, it makes you more smarter with words and expressing yourself. Yes, so I was really happy with everyone talking about the emotional side and the creativity and the different thoughts and idea, and the box of ideas was really, really interesting. And talking about how the pandemic changed me as a student. I'm a college student, so I'm more independent on myself. I'm a student, and I'm also like somehow a teacher. I teach myself more. Like if like in school, I was more. I was only a student, and the teacher did all the work. Honestly, yes, I did some the work that the teacher gave me, but in college, I feel like I'm more my own person, and the pandemic really made me more empowerment, and more felt more empowerment about the whole idea of self-empowerment. So yes, that's what I wanted to say, and thank you for today. It was really, really great.
Yeah, thank you, Aisha. Yeah, this is the thing. It's not out there, it's in here. It all starts in here. Angelina, last few words from you. Joyce, I saw you had your hand up. So while we are all putting on our cameras, please, for a picture. Please, Angelina, if you want to share your thoughts, and everybody put your videos on. Yeah.
Yes, Robin, kindly. Breakout room.
And the chat is open for everyone, Robin.
Okay, I'm not sure what's some aren't able to get in. Carry on, Angelina.
Yes, in our breakout room, a colleague from South Africa asked us that what change do you think is easier for us to teach or to inculcate values? Is it to handouts or to children? And I was almost convinced that the children are easier to deal with, because a child at the age of 3 to 9 is able to learn values and is able to learn virtues very fast compared to an adult who is already formed. However, that was not my concern now. My concern was that I do believe that teachers are God's co-creators. Like we finish the work which God started in man or in creation by giving the right values which we need in our countries or in our continent, inculcating the values which will hold dear to spearhead our continent to higher heights of development or even leadership. And as teachers, we have a great role to be role models in our schools and in our community, because learners will learn much from what they see you do than what you tell them to do. Therefore, we'll have to be role models, and we shall look back and say we have completed the work which God has started in man. Because whatever shape our content takes will solely depend on how the teachers take up their responsibilities in our schools. Thank you for that time, Robin and Abdelaziz. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Dina, yes, please pop up our word cloud for us. 1 second. Everybody, videos on. I mean, videos on, please. We're going to have a photograph after this. Beautiful.
So these are some of the contributions we had about how our participants and audience conceptualized empowerment. Some very interesting answer here is student voice, social connection, autonomy, vocational skills, power of words, freedom, bullying is weakness, and the list goes on. And I think we can share this in email to all our participants as well. And as we talk today about emotions, we have to end up with a positive note. So here are some of the emotions our audience captured: happiness, hopefulness, peace, positive attitude, inspiration, inspired, uplifted, delighted, enthusiastic, positivity, love, and eager to exchange more. So no better end to end our session today.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dina. Let's put our photos on. Let's stop the share so that we get a lovely full screen full of people. And Aziz, if you are able to take a picture for us, please.
Dina, can you please stop sharing?
There we go.
We would like to, as we're taking this picture, I would like to thank all and everyone who has joined us. I would like to thank the people who have participated as speakers or who have intervened and reflected on the thoughts that were shared through this session and this conversation. It was really beautiful and joyful to be with you. Thank you all. Thank you, Dina, Khadija, Lubna, Lucy, Angelina, Yahya, and Rodaina. Thank you, Dina and Yumna, for facilitating. Thank you, Karima, Shakri, Joyce, Murad, Andrew, Nabil, Barinam, Angelina, Khadija, Suhaila, Georgina, Aisha, everyone who is here with us, Wad, Mustafa, and Ilham, and everyone. Well, we started our session with the topic empowering children or empowering learners beyond school. And I have very short thoughts to share with you. Of course, I think that we need to think of our schools or frame schooling and learning within a perspective of developing every learner and every human being, thinking of every learner as a beautiful soul and a beautiful human being, and fill those people, those kids with love. So that's the most important thing that we should have. Empower, well, it is, if we think of the word teach, I thought of it differently. Teach is T-E-A-C-H, and T stands for two, E is for empower, E for empower, A for all, and CH for children. So to empower all children is to teach. So let's think beyond that teaching perspective that we have in most schools and go beyond it towards deliberately developing all learners with no exception. and try to just remove this ableism that some of us might have unconsciously, and think of everyone as someone who has the capacity to thrive and to succeed. Thank you all for joining us today. The last word is going to be given to Andrew, because he has to share something about the next session. Andrew? Andrew, are you here? Okay, if Andrew is not here, then Robin will just speak on his behalf.
Fantastic. Hey, wait, fantastic. There we go. So just really wanted to let you know that our next Africa Voices dialogue will be towards the end of January. We'll share the dates in the next couple of weeks. Hosted by Kenya. Andrew, Lucy, and Angelina, who joined us today, will be the organizing committee, and we are really, really looking forward to what they have to share with us. So we hope that you can all join us. And just to say, wishing you wonderful rest at the end of what has been a difficult year, and fresh eyes and hearts for 2021. May you all have a blessed end of year season, and for those of you who have a proper holiday, a wonderful rest. Thank you, everybody, and best of luck and happy weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did Abdelaziz take the picture?
I don't know.
Yes, I took the picture. Don't worry.
Oh,
that's what I
you
do.
did? Okay, cool.
You didn't prepare us. Come take another one, because we were not all looking beautiful.
I know.
I'll share the pictures with you. Just smile, all of you. Go ahead. Hey, smile here. Please.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to all of you. So we'll wait for you in Africa Voices Dialogue session number 4 in Kenya.
Thank you. You are most welcome. We are looking forward.
Thank you so much for today. It was
Bye.
really inspiring. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you all. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
It's really a pleasure. Thank you so much.